Hello, and welcome back to the Almost Shameless podcast. I am your host, Tanya Ray Fox. Thank you for joining me. Where the Patriots stand right now. They won their game 17-14 against the Steelers last week. Like I said, genius, nailed it. Just kidding. Like, who cares? But once again, it's clear that the Patriots defense is trying to hold this team together by the skin of its teeth, right? They're trying their absolute best. And they prevailed against the Steelers, like we talked about prior to the game. Not a great offense, not a highly effective or potent or dynamic offense on the Steelers. So the Patriots were able to get the job done defensively. Offensively, things looked rough. They looked rough until the fourth quarter, when it appeared that Matt Patricia found like a random call sheet from Josh McDaniels in his pocket somewhere because he started doing some pretty efficient runs that were able to seal the game for the Patriots. Most of it looked pretty rough. I will say this. I was the most impressed I had been with the Patriots skill players that I've been in a while, the offensive skill players. I thought the wide receivers looked like they were working really hard. They had a lot of energy. I thought that they were getting better separation than they normally do. The running backs were doing their job. It almost seemed like Mac was the one struggling. A couple of miscommunications regarding routes and things like that. I really felt like it was Mac who was letting them down this time. And I have tried incredibly hard to give Mac as much benefit of the doubt as possible. I think he was put in a really tough spot this season, even last season, but this season specifically, losing Josh McDaniels and having a defensive coordinator as his offensive play caller, not ideal. But there has been a little bit of regression in terms of his ability to make his reads and create opportunities for these players. We saw Nelson Aguilar finally kind of break out a little bit. That was great to see. Still didn't see enough of Kendrick Bourne, which was disappointing. It does appear that Damian Harris can continue to be the cog that helps the run game continue spinning. And Ramondre Stevenson can still be that sort of big play, third down type back, make dynamic plays when they need him. I think what I'm most concerned about is just the chemistry between Mac and his skill players. And I think part of that has to do with the issues on the offensive line, the inconsistency there, way too many penalties. There were a couple of really big plays that were called back, some big first downs that were called back because of holding penalties. The line just can't seem to fully get it together. And Mac is just still coming along. It's too early for him to be having these kinds of struggles from the line, especially, I mean, there is clearly some miscommunication going on. I don't know if it's because of Matt Patricia, it's coming through the headset, if there's issues at the line of scrimmage. I don't know what's going on, but this is not an offense that looks anywhere near capable enough to compete with the offenses we're seeing around the AFC. We saw what the Dolphins did to the Ravens last week. We see what the Bills continue to do. Like we've talked about before, they barely punt. They score 40 points a game. The Chiefs are rolling. The Bills and the Dolphins have two of the most potent offenses in the league over the course of the first 2 weeks, and they're in the AFC East. Obviously, it's encouraging that the Patriots defense was able to hold to it in that offense the way that they did in week one, compared to how like absolutely shredded the Ravens were in the fourth quarter of their week 2 matchup. That was insane to watch. I do think there was a few, I mean, 2 of those touchdowns, like it was just busted coverage by the Ravens. It just wasn't well covered. So, you know, is Tua going to be the kind of guy who's throwing 6 touchdowns every game? No, there will be adjustments to what Mike McDaniel is doing with that offense. There will be adjustments to tamp down on what Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are able to do with their speed. That's the fastest wide receiving duo in the league. There will be ways to deal with that. And the Patriots actually provided somewhat of a blueprint in week 1. Now, did they have way more of a chance to prepare for them? Yes. But did they know exactly what that offense was going to look like? No. So that's encouraging, right? Like it's encouraging that the defense has held up well against a good offense. And then, you know, they did their job against the Steelers last week. Now they're going to face the Ravens, and this will be another big test. They actually have played the Ravens pretty well, even post Tom Brady, right? Like they've won some good games against the Ravens, and the defense is not afraid of Lamar Jackson. And I think this will be a good test to show us where the defense is against one of the most dynamic quarterbacks in the league. He's playing really well. He's playing for a contract. He's not screwing around. This is not a game that the Ravens are going to want to lose. I mean, they can afford a loss in the AFC North right now because I don't think the Browns are going to be knocking on the door immediately, but they don't want to lose to the Patriots. They never do. And they finally get a home game, right? Like, this is a huge opportunity for the defense to step up. Offensively, I don't know what to expect. I just don't know what to expect. All I've seen is this sort of dumbed down version of what they were doing last year, which is like not encouraging, you know? It really is starting to look like the best thing they can do is try to replicate the Josh McDaniels offense from last season as much as humanly possible, utilize the tight ends a little bit more in the passing game, try to tighten up their coverages on the offensive line, and hope that Nick Folk continues to be Big Kick Nick. Defense does their job, and they're able to eke out close wins. You know, again, the Patriots don't look like a team that can easily score more than 20 points at any given time. And in the modern NFL, that's concerning. So we need to see some progress, and we need to see it quickly. And I think with some of the late game coverage issues that the Ravens showed last week, I'm hoping that they can maybe open things up with Aguilar, with the tight ends across the middle, some of the few little things we saw last week, and maybe get lucky, right? Crazier things have happened. As far as the rest of the league goes, I kind of already insinuated this. I already kind of talked about it. The Bills and the Chiefs appear to be almost head and shoulders beyond where everyone else in the NFL is at this point. Even teams that are 2-0, like the Eagles, like the Dolphins, they haven't shown the same level of like real powerhouse consistency as the Bills and the Chiefs have. And I think it's a wake-up call to the rest of the league that the consistency at head coach and the ability to continue to help both Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen grow and get better every single year is a major factor. You know, Mahomes has continued to become a better quarterback. He's not somebody who's stopped learning or growing, and Andy Reid has not stayed complacent in the way he will build an offense for Patrick Mahomes. He will change things up. He will make him work harder and learn new things, and that makes for a better quarterback. When Patrick Mahomes won the MVP and sort of blew everybody out of the water, it was really stylistic, right? It was really that defenses just didn't know how to handle him. They do now, and he's still balling. The same thing can be said for Josh Allen. He has grown his repertoire in terms of what he is able to do at the line of scrimmage, how he's able to adjust, how he's able to go through his progressions, how he's able to go from his first and second and third reads to successful yardage and turning those broken plays into first downs, and, you know, and being able to scheme him up when he's not on his legs, when he's not running. Like, all of this stuff has come along and continued to grow and get better. And those defenses continue to step up and get better as well. And there's just no other teams in the league that have all of that in their arsenal. Like I said, you know, you have to take the Dolphins seriously just because of how they've performed over the first 2 weeks, but there are still some things that have to be ironed out there. And I do think that as people start to figure out that Tua still does have limitations, that yardage number is a lot of yards after the catch, right? Like, we've seen this before. He's still not throwing deep downfield all of a sudden. You know, it's a lot of yards after the catch in that offense. And there are ways to scheme against it. We've seen the Patriots do it 1,000 times to offenses like that, right? And there are other good defenses that are going to figure that out as well. But the NFC West is more competitive than we thought. The AFC West, turns out the Raiders and the Broncos might not be good at all. The NFC North, you know, I think the Packers, again, are like probably better. I think the Packers are probably better than the Bucs. I'm really interested to see how that game goes, because the Bucs have struggled offensively. They're going to be without Mike Evans. Their offensive line is struggling as well. They've lost some major pieces there. So the Packers might continue to be in the top 3 teams in that conference purely because they have stayed fairly consistent. Again, head coach, system, all that stuff. Like, yeah, they don't have Devontae Adams, but they have a good run game, a good defense, probably better than we give them credit for. And that loss to the Vikings doesn't really concern me because it's a division game and that stuff happens. I know the Giants are 2-0, but until Daniel Jones looks like he's a different quarterback, I think we're going to have to continue to just praise Brian Daboll for what he's able to do with that roster. But I think we're looking to the Eagles as the best team in that division. And while I think Cooper Rush is impressive in terms of his ability to step in and help that team to big wins, I still don't take the Cowboys seriously. So, those are just some random thoughts on where things stand right now with the rest of the league. I am looking forward to seeing how the Patriots play at home for the first time this season. So that's going to be exciting. Again, if I were to give you anything to look out for the game against the Ravens, I'd say look out for maybe a return to some more Josh McDaniels concepts, a little bit heavier in the run game, and also opening up downfield a little bit more. I think they unlocked some opportunities that they can exploit with Nelson Aguilar last week. They'd be crazy to not go back to that again. Even the deep pass that Matt got picked last week, I liked it. I like the aggressiveness. I think I said on the podcast last week, I'd rather see them go for big plays and make big mistakes than to stay so conservative that they're never able to evolve and they're never able to start stretching these defenses a little bit and making them question where they can be. So I would look for a return to some of what we saw from Mac last season, but with the knowledge that he's now a second-year quarterback and needs to be able to make these bigger plays downfield, over the middle to the tight ends, and needs to be able to move the ball more quickly downfield when they are in situations that they need to score quickly, right? So all stuff to keep an eye out for. Thank you guys for joining me this week. I appreciate it. Hope the energy was right. I tried to pick up the energy once I got through all the stuff at the beginning, and look forward to talking to you next week about everything that develops over the weekend. Have an awesome time in week 3. It's officially fall. So get your pumpkin spice lattes, do it with pride, go to Trader Joe's and get all of the pumpkin flavored treats. That's what this time of the year is for. And, we have so few joys in life these days. There's always something going on, right? There's always something that sucks. Eat the pumpkin stuff. Just eat the pumpkin stuff. It's fun. It's no longer cool to make fun of pumpkin spice. We've been through too much to be making fun of pumpkin spice. You know what I mean? All right. Thanks again, guys. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you are on the internet. I'm probably there too. So come say hi, come chat with me, come debate with me, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.